Hello and welcome. My name is Jessica, and I'm also one of Carleton's International Admission and Recruitment Officers. And I'm very excited to be joining you today to talk about admissions and your next steps. Now, before we get started, I do want to recognize that we probably, or for sure, do have people joining us who are in all different stages of the application process. So some of you might be waiting for a decision. Others maybe have already received their decisions and starting to work through the next steps. So either way, I'm hopeful that this session will help you no matter where you are in the process. I also want to acknowledge that I'm about to share a lot of information with you. It could be a little bit overwhelming, but rest assured, I will try to go at a good pace. We have lots of helpful links and QR codes, and this is being recorded. So you will get a follow-up email with these links. Okay, so no pressure, follow along, and let's get started. Okay, so we have to start by talking about Carleton 360. Hopefully by now, most of you are familiar and have logged in and worked within Carleton 360. Perhaps most of you or some of you would have even applied through Carleton 360. So that would have been your first introduction. And others, maybe you have uploaded documents, checked for offers, because that's all happening right here. Okay, so what can we do in Carleton 360 if you haven't been in yet? This is where you will see the status of your application, and it is vitally important to know the status of your application, because if it is marked incomplete, that means that we can't evaluate it yet. So it's important that you see that your application is complete. If it's not, it's probably because we're looking for more documents. And this is where you can upload those documents. Once there is a decision on your application, that's where you will see it here in Carleton 360. And reading through that offer package, which we'll look at in a couple of slides, that's what will outline all of your next steps. Something else that you can do in Carleton 360 is your third-party authorization. So if you have a parent, a high school counselor, or you're working with an agent and you want them to have access to your application information or to be able to ask us for to do tasks on behalf of you, then you need to give them authorization, which you can do here in your account. There's lots happening in your Carleton 360 account. So really the most important thing I want you to take away from this slide is to make sure you can log in and spend time in here, become familiar with all of the applications and what you can do here, because it's really important. Okay, so Carleton 360, become familiar. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the document process and what that looks like inside of the portal. So of course, for us to assess your file, we need to have certain documents, and we request those through 360. So in some cases, your application might have been marked as complete. Right away, we have everything we need. But sometimes after we look through your documents and do a first assessment, we realize we need something else. So we put a request on your account for an additional document. That's why I emphasize it's important to check in, because one day it might have been marked complete, but the following week it could be incomplete. Okay, so important to check in. And if we do add a request for an additional document, you should receive an email that prompts you to log in because something has changed in your account. Now, there are two types of documents that we require: unofficial and official. An unofficial document can be uploaded directly to the portal. So this could be a PDF download of your high school transcript, for example. You can upload that yourself. Typically, we can use these unofficial documents to make decisions, but we might also ask for an official document. And this often happens once we've made a decision, but we need to confirm things upon your graduation. Official documents cannot be submitted by you. They can only be submitted by your like an administrator directly from your school or from the governing body indicated on that document. So those can be emailed directly to us at international@carleton.ca, or we could also go the old-fashioned way and they can be mailed directly to us as well. Okay, so once we have all of the requested documents and your application is marked as complete, that's when we can start our official evaluation. Now, you can see on the slide there is a QR code. The process of uploading the documents might be a little bit overwhelming. It's pretty easy. As you can see on this slide, you just navigate to your active application and you'll see the checklist for all the documents and you just upload it. But there is a video there. So if you have your phones, grab a picture of that QR code so that you can review the document submission part. Okay, moving on. So there are many of you in this session who actually already hold an offer of admission. So to you, we say, congratulations. We're really, really excited for you. Now, some of you who have received an offer would have received a conditional offer of admission. And this just means that you are still in progress to graduation. So maybe you're graduating just in a couple of months. You're preparing for your finals now. So you have an offer package, which you would have seen in your Carleton 360. It is really, really important for you to read every page very carefully. This is going to outline all of your next steps. Okay, so to make a decision, we have used your midterm or predicted grades to make our assessment. With a conditional offer, we are, like I alluded to earlier, going to ask for your final and official results just to confirm that offer. It's okay if your final results fluctuate slightly. We plan for that. It's normal. And your offer package will refer you to a web page that will indicate the results that you have to maintain in order to release our condition on your offer and to move forward. Okay? But listen carefully. What I really want to emphasize is that a conditional offer is enough to allow you to move forward with the application for your study permit, to register for classes when the time comes for that. We will not issue you a final offer of admission. All we will do when we see your final grades is just release a hold that we have on your offer. Okay, so a conditional offer is great. It allows you to move forward. Do not wait to give us your final grades before you start moving forward with your study permit application. Okay, so I hope you hear that and that makes good sense to you. So there might be some of you who are in a slightly different situation and have already graduated. Maybe you graduated last year or a few years prior to that. So we already have your official and final documents. You have been given a final offer of admission, and there should be no other documents or additional tasks that we ask of you. Okay, so that is the second type of offer that some of you might have in your Carleton 360 accounts. So now I just want to show you a brief timeline of the important steps that you will have to take over the next few months as you prepare to start at Carleton in September. So your offer package will include 4 things. It'll indicate the program that you've been admitted to, whether you have a guaranteed spot in residence, if you are being awarded a scholarship or award, and your study permit letter, which you will need for your study permit application. Okay, so those 4 main items you will find within your offer package. If you have been given an offer, don't forget to accept it by May 1st, or if your offer has come a bit later, there will be a date specifically indicated in your letter. So pay careful attention to that. However, if you have an offer in hand, don't wait. Accept it as early as possible, as early as you feel comfortable doing, because that will allow you to start your study permit application. Next is residence. If you were made an offer for guaranteed residence, you have to accept your spot by June 9th. So just because it's guaranteed doesn't mean it's assumed that you will live in residence. You still have to actively accept and pay a deposit of $700. As part of this acceptance process, it's important to know at that point, you can now opt in to staying in residence for 12 full months rather than in the historic 8-month academic year. So you can opt into that at that time as well, and then start the process of roommate matching, etc. Okay? If you are a person, I'll just take a pause to mention, if you didn't get a guaranteed offer of residence, the application is open. You just would apply kind of separate from this process. So that's open now. There is still a process for you to get into residence, even if it isn't guaranteed. Okay, so pay attention to that as well. All right, next, you'll be looking to registering for classes and paying your tuition. Now, that's going to happen later in the summer, and you guessed it, you will receive information by email, but just so that you're aware of the general timeline of when those things happen, okay? So later in the summer, you'll be looking for registration. Tuition is due August 25th. However, many of you may choose to be paying that upfront more in connection with your study permit application. So we are aware of that. Now, all along the bottom of this schedule, you will see that the study permit application is ongoing, okay? You're constantly kind of collecting your information, getting your documents organized until you're ready to move forward with the documents that we provide you. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about the process of accepting your offer of admission, if you haven't already yet. I know that we do have some who have, so that's very exciting, but some of you might be looking at doing this really soon. So to accept your offer of admission, part of the process is that we require a $2,000 deposit, and that will be applied to your tuition. So it's not in addition to that. In your Carleton 360 portal, you can navigate to your active application, the same as we did to see your document checklist. And that's where you will see your offer package. You will also see your scholarship and awards information. There's a new link for that. And under applicant information, you will see an option to pay the international tuition deposit. When you click on the link, you will be brought to a page listing all of the payment options. There are options that will allow you to pay in your own currency. They'll have various fees and conversion rates. The processing time for payment from when you pay to when we receive the payment could be up to 2 weeks. So just be aware of that for, depending on the option. But if it's available to you, the quickest payment option is to use a credit card. So if you're able to access a credit card from your parents or a trusted family member, that is a really good option in terms of speed. But all of the payment options listed are totally acceptable. So once we receive that payment, our system will automatically generate for you your provincial attestation letter, which is commonly known as a PAL. So some of you might be familiar with what the PAL is, but for those of you who haven't heard of the PAL yet, it's a document that you will be required to include in your study permit application. All right, so you'll be expected to submit 2 documents from the university. So we have that visa letter that we have provided as part of your initial offer package, and then the PAL. Now, all colleges and universities in Canada are allotted a certain number of PALs to give to students each year, and with the intention of managing and tracking the number of students that we admit. Okay, so that's all it does. But we do want to reassure you that Carleton has been granted enough PAL letters that we're confident every student who is admitted will receive a PAL. So nothing really to worry about there. So just a couple of more comments or tips in regards to the PAL is that it's really important that you accept an offer of admission at one Canadian institution. So this should be the school that you are proceeding with for your study permit application. So the PAL you use must match the school that will be written on your study permit, okay? Because the PAL is issued by the school and that name will be listed on your study permit. So they have to match. If you decide to accept an offer from a different school that you intend to go to, then you have to apply for a new study permit. Okay, so it's really important to do your research, be confident in your choice, and then move forward in that path. Hopefully that makes good sense. So once you have your PAL, this is when you can shift your focus to starting your study permit application. There is a lot to know when preparing for your study permit application far beyond what I have just introduced here. And it's really important that you work with trusted experts and that you're referring to official sources. So what we have here is a link to Carleton's website and then also the IRCC, so Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship Canada website as well. So Carleton has a fantastic International Student Services Office. We call it the ISSO, and they are staffed with licensed immigration advisors. So they are maintaining a really robust website full of resources for you that answer many common questions. And then, of course, we have the government site by IRCC. So this is where you'll find details about the visa office instructions for your country. You can find estimated processing times and much, much more. So these are two very, very good resources that you should keep favorited on your computers. Okay, another activity that we want to encourage right now is our Ask Us Anything sessions. So I am co-running it actually with my colleague from the ISSO. So we have 2 sessions that are coming up, April 10th and April 24th. If you snap that QR code right now, it'll take you to the registration page, but you will receive information by email, so don't stress about that. But we're going to do a short presentation just highlighting some of our top tips to being successful with your study permit application. And then we'll invite questions from all of you from what you might have encountered or had questions or confusions about in terms of preparing your application. So, getting into university is very exciting, but there is another big step in terms of the study permit that we want to support you with as well. Okay.